All right, away we go on another Thursday to end the month of January. It's still cold out. I'm sick and tired of the cold. I'm sick and tired of the snow. I know all of you are as well, but here we are, ready for another exciting episode of the United Podcast. Welcome in, everybody. Isaac Petcash joining you from the John Russell Brewing Company just off of Peach Street. Hope your week's been well. We're rounding out the month of January. The start of 2026 has gone by lightning quick, and if there's anything that we've learned from the start of the calendar year, it's that the action in and out of competition has been so exciting. So many great winter teams that have been doing just an incredible job so far with their respective teams. And as we're going to see in just a few minutes, we have a lot more teams that are going to start their seasons in the month of February, specifically competitive cheer and dance, who will be the subject of our show tonight. So much excitement around the winter season. February is really when the action heats up because you have, as we mentioned, multiple teams that come into the fray for the first time. Winter sports begin their stretch run, and playoff time comes after that. And then, of course, as we know, it all leads to the month of March, which, if you're a college sports fan, November and March is really when the rubber hits the road for postseason action. So excited to get the month of February underway, but closing this month of January on a high note as well. Let's take a look at what we got happening tonight with our show. Competitive cheer and dance is the focal point of our final episode of January because they start their competitions on Sunday. They'll be at Penn State Barron, where a bevy of teams will be competing, many for the first time this season. We'll be talking with members from the cheer, the dance team, and new assistant coach Jaden Johnson, who will be joining us on the podcast in just a few minutes' time. We'll also look ahead to this weekend in wrestling. We have a doubleheader on Saturday from the Highmark Event Center. Women's wrestling at 2 o'clock facing Lock Haven. It's their first home meet in quite some time. Men's wrestling has their senior day coming up on Saturday as well, where 8 senior members will be honored ahead of their dual meet against Kutztown, 2 ranked teams, which is sure to be a very, very exciting afternoon of wrestling. Top 5 plays of the week come your way. What's on tap as well. Dish of the day we'll start our show with, and much more. So stay tuned. Lots to come here on the United Podcast. And, of course, you can see our big camera tonight overlooking John Russell Brewing Company. It is filled, as always, tables getting a chance to enjoy the great food that is around here as well. So let's get things started with our dish of the day, and then we get into the competitive cheer and dance segment of our show. Here's what our dish of the day is tonight. We had this dish of the day a few weeks back on the show in the spring semester, but it's back by popular demand. Reuben rolls is our dish of the day. If you like Reuben sandwiches, but you're not a fan of all the bread, well, get the crispy rolls. Why not? It's a great appetizer to start your meal here at the John Russell Brewing Company. It's really a staple of every single restaurant that is at the John Russell Hospitality Group. Great appetizer, great way to spend some time with your friends, kick off the night in the right way. John Russell Hospitality is our proud sponsor of the United Podcast, and Reuben rolls is our dish of the day here on this final episode of January.
At John Russell Hospitality, every restaurant tells a story of flavor, community, and unforgettable moments. From handcrafted meals to welcoming spaces, we bring people together around a table. John Russell Hospitality, where great food meets genuine companionship. Make sure to visit one of our 6 locations today.
All right, let's go ahead and start our show with competitive cheer and dance, shall we? The 2026 schedule gets underway on Sunday when the cheer and dance teams head to Penn State Barron. A bit of a short trip this weekend, but an exciting one for the Spirit competitive cheer and dance competition just down the road. This is the start of an exciting year for head coach Kelly Mikowski, which congratulations to her. She just had her baby just a couple of weeks back, getting a chance to enjoy some time with the new family member, and so she'll be back with the team a little bit later on in the season. But before that, of course, it's the start of a 3-meet stretch before the Collegiate Cheer and Dance National Championships, which, of course, every year take place in Daytona Beach, Florida. Very excited to be joined by a few members of the team, including starting out with the cheer team and Marissa Kindle Jr., who's joining us on the podcast. Thanks again for spending some time for a season that finally, Marissa, gets underway. Yeah. It's been a long time practicing, a long time getting ready, and now you finally get to kick it off on Sunday. I'm sure you're excited.
Yes, I'm very excited. It's been kind of busy so far, but I think we're catching up.
Kind of busy in the fact that you start a new semester and then your season gets underway like 3 weeks after. Is that difficult, the fact that your season starts kind of in a situation where you're just trying to hit the ground running for spring, and then all of a sudden, bam, you have competition after competition?
Yeah, it's kind of like we have a really slow fall season, so we're not doing much. We have homecoming, we have a few performances here and there, so it kind of starts off slow, and then the second January starts, it's like we're going every 2 seconds. So it kind of hits us hard, but I think we're taking it well.
What's that first meet like, especially when you spend all this time getting ready, preparing, right? That's such a big part of any sport is the preparation. But when you hit the competition floor for the first time, from your past experience, what has that first moment been like when you actually are being judged by somebody other than your coaches?
Yeah, it's for me, this being my third year, I kind of just see it as this is a time to embrace the adrenaline and do the best I can. But I know for some freshmen, some of those girls haven't competed yet ever in their high school careers. So it's going to be a little nerve wracking for them, but I'm excited that they get to experience it and kind of get a competition under their belt so that they're able to do better in the next coming competitions.
You mentioned this is your third season, so you're a veteran at this, but you have a lot of freshmen on your team that have not experienced this before. Take me back to your first year when you were part of the team, your first competition. You probably have butterflies out of your stomach because maybe you did compete in high school, maybe you didn't. But what was that moment like as a freshman? And what do you tell the freshmen ahead of Sunday if they're nervous? Inevitably, they will be. Maybe some advice that you give to them as you remember back to your first ever competition a few years ago.
Yeah, so definitely my first year, my freshman year, it was super nerve wracking. I didn't really know what to expect. College is a whole different thing compared to high school cheer.
Amen.
Yeah, so I like to tell the freshmen exactly what I experienced and how I overcame those things that I get scared of, like just being a little shaky on the floor sometimes when you first compete is something that's so common. So I tell them how I get over that and how to just embrace the adrenaline that you get when you're on that floor and just go through one skill at a time and try to not get overwhelmed.
Is that something you had to learn about being okay with being nervous? I feel like that's something that sometimes coaches try to coach it out of you, right? You tell yourself as a student athlete, like, I shouldn't be nervous. I've practiced this a million times before. Is there an art, if you will, to being okay with having some nerves and anxiety? And is that something you learn over time?
Absolutely. I think along with nerves, you also get a lot of pressure. And sometimes that pressure is good. It makes you work harder. It makes you want to impress the people that are watching you. So I try to tell them to embrace that and don't let it break you, but just make it a part of you so that you're doing good up there and you're trying to impress those people and you're using that adrenaline to push you and do your skills the best you can.
Let's talk about the team a little bit. You, as every year you do, you have a mix of veterans and some newcomers that will be part of the team this year. How do you feel like the team has mixed? Of course, there's a dynamic of Coach Kelly not being here right now for good reasons, of course, but what has that been like? I'm sure maybe working more amongst yourselves getting ready for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our incoming class of freshmen really blended in well with us, which has not always been a thing in the past. They really just input themselves into our groups and kind of integrated themselves really well. They're super outgoing, they're super energetic, and I can't wait to see that on the mats.
You have to have that energy, right? Is that like it's a prerequisite, I imagine, for being part of this team?
Yes, absolutely. So much energy. We try to pump ourselves up, getting ready to go on that competition floor. We always have our rituals. We're pumping each other up. We have some mat talk, when we're on that floor, you're encouraging others. So we make sure to keep that going, not only in practice, but right before we compete. We're always encouraging. We're always keeping our energy up high so that it can transfer over to the floor.
Let's talk about the season as a whole. This is the start of a few months of competition. You have Penn State, Barron, a couple of others. Road to Daytona is coming up in March, which feels like a long way away. It's 2 months from today, but it's going to be here before you know it. You know that. And then Daytona. Every time I talk to this team, whoever it is, I talk about Daytona because I don't feel like people who have ever been there before truly understand and grasp what it's like. The lead up to that, everything builds to Daytona. What is that moment like? And how does the grind of the season keep you going, knowing what's ahead at the end of the month of March?
Yeah, Daytona is something really special, especially for the division that we're in. We compete in D2 game day, which fortunately gets to be on the band shell in Daytona, which is an outside stage. And it is the most amazing feeling ever. I cannot explain it to anybody else. It is just this, while it is, yes, a little hot there, and you have the sun beating down on your face and you have all the environmental factors that can be stressful for people when you think about it. But the second you step on that stage and you see everybody around you, you're seeing D1 schools who are just so elite. They're competing on the same stage as you. And it makes you feel so incredible that you've worked so hard for this moment and it's all going to pay off.
It just doesn't seem like there's anything really like it amongst college sports, right? I mean, we see NCAA championships at different locations seemingly every year, right? There's the pomp and circumstance about that, but it just seems like a different feel with Daytona, the location, and I mean, I don't think the heat is necessarily the worst thing in the world. You know, when it comes to the warm weather, of course, you have to deal with that, but it's a different vibe, and that I can imagine keeps you going throughout the entire season.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to look forward. I imagine every time I step on that competition floor, whether it's us being at Penn State Barron or when we're going to Elmira in a few weeks, I try to imagine like this is the band shell. You know, like this is the same 9 mats that are going to be on the band shell. It's the exact same thing, but it is just this crazy feeling that you have to try to harness and try to explain to other people.
Hey, good for you if you can imagine this area right now as the band shell.
Yeah.
I don't know how on earth we would ever get something like this to come to Erie given the weather right now. But regardless, as you get ready for Sunday, there's a lot of excitement. We talked about what you can expect coming up. What's the hope for the team this season, specifically on the cheer side? And I guess specifically, if you could describe this team in 1 or 2 words, what would that be? What's the motto for this season for the cheer team?
I think 2 words to describe this team would be unique and energetic. This is definitely a different vibe from any other team that I've been on, especially still being at Gannon for the past 2 years. Every year, the team has been so different and so unique in itself that we just bring this different energy, and it's so exciting to see that come together, especially when we get our routine and we start to see it mesh together. It's great to see those things.
It's going to be an awesome season. We can't wait for Sunday. The energy, and I can't stress this enough, is so palpable every time there is a competition, whether it's here, whether it's in Daytona, or in this case, Penn State Barron on Sunday. Thanks again, Marissa, for joining us. We cannot wait to see what you do on Sunday, and then let's hopefully the weather warms up a little bit so you can feel more Daytona vibes as you go through the season.
Yes, let's hope for that.
All right, let's continue on with the podcast. Thanks again, Marissa, for joining us as we roll along here in the United Podcast, Competitive Cheer and Dance, starting their season on Sunday. It'll be a double competition with cheer and dance as both teams will get set to compete on Sunday. We heard from competitive cheer. Let's hear from competitive dance. Claire Eaton joining us now on the show. You've been a part of this team a while as well. You know what to expect here. I want to first, though, ask you about your routine. When you and I talked with preseason interviews, you mentioned that this is the most excited you've been for a routine in your Gannon career. Can you take me through a little bit with, of course, not giving your routine away, how excited you are to put this on for the first time coming up on Sunday?
Yeah, I think you're specifically talking about team performance. I mentioned that. I'm so excited for hip hop as well, but this team performance routine, it just has a different vibe than we've ever went with before. The skill level alone is just insane. It's jam-packed, and we're super excited to be able to put on the floor what we can do and execute it well. And then the routine itself, it just really matches our team's personality and who we are as one.
Marissa mentioned the team personality, having energy, right? And you have to have that when you compete on this team. But it seems like a lot of the young freshmen, newcomers that have come out of the team have really adapted well. Is that something that you've seen, and how has that team chemistry manifested itself in the preseason?
Yeah, I think it's definitely difficult, especially just at any college level sport, to come in and have these freshmen or whoever come in and just integrate together as one, as we all have different backgrounds, especially with dance. We have just very different backgrounds, different studios, different ways of doing everything. So being able to come together and find a fair ground and stick together and head forward together is a challenge. And I think this team has really done that, and that's shown through with like the passion that everyone has for the sport and the art of dance.
One of the things that's unique about this team is that everyone comes together with different backgrounds with dance. You've, I'm sure, competed before college. You're used to the sort of the competition format, but what is the difference in competitions prior to college to competitions in college? Is it something you had to get used to, get adjusted to, compared to what you went through maybe in high school or your years before?
Yeah, so like specifically, I did grow up kind of on the edge or outskirts of like what NDA is, but a lot of girls, which I also experienced, some like studio competitions, so on a dark stage, or some girls did not compete before coming here, so being here on this team is their first time competing, just doing recitals and stuff, different styles. So I did have the opportunity to go through a team and a program that competed at USASF, which is kind of similar to NDA Nationals, but not everyone gets that opportunity. And I am blessed that I did have that. And I kind of got to dip my toes in the water before I came here.
Sure, it's a huge help and something that maybe you talked to some of the younger student athletes about on the team as well. I asked Marissa what piece of advice she would give to the first timers as they get ready for Sunday. What would be that piece of information and advice for you? And as I'm sure you can remember back to the first time you ever stepped on the competition floor at Gannon.
Yeah, it's super nerve-wracking in a different way. Like, yeah, we've all been dancing or cheering for years upon years. But just knowing that like you made it, you're taking your next step to the next level. Even though it's a local competition, it's just as important as every other one. And just like absorbing the opportunity that you have, and it goes by so fast, and never taking like the opportunity to dance for granted.
It really does. You make a great point about the season, how quickly it goes, because you don't start your season competition-wise until the 1st of February. It ends in early April. It's a 2-month sprint. Did you have to get used to the fact that the season goes as quick as it does? Because I feel like it's a situation you blink and you miss it. Other sports, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. I mean, we just had swimming on the program. I feel like their season is literally year-round. What is it like adjusting to how quickly the season goes, and how do you essentially allow yourself to be immersed in a season that goes by so quick?
So I think what a lot of, I don't want to say people don't understand or see, is that we do an immense amount of behind the scenes work. Here at Gannon, we practice all fall semester 5 days a week, and we practice 6 days a week in the spring semester. We come back early before classes start, and then we come back early before classes start in spring semester to do choreo. So even though we only compete for about 2 to 3 months, we front load immensely. We do a lot of training, like stamina wise, physically, like weightlifting, and then we also do like learn our dances and techniques. So I think like just I want to say like making sure that we stay, it can be challenging to like stay in those 2 months, because it's like, oh, we have to do all this and we have so much time to do all of it. And then those 2 months, not that we need to fix or change things, but we got to stay really on track and like, head on in those 2 months. It just, yeah.
A lot of it, I'm sure, is the process, as you mentioned, right? Because a lot of it is preparation. And it's hard to enjoy the process. I mean, like if I was in college right now, one of the things I hated when I was an athlete is practice. I never liked going up there and not competing. But in this sport, you have to enjoy that, right? How did you learn to enjoy the process and the build-up specifically to learning choreography, learning your next move on the dance floor? How did you learn to enjoy that process almost as much as you maybe enjoy competition?
Yeah, so specifically, like working on technique and stuff, that can get so monotonous. But I think that no matter what, there's always something for an individual to work on. I think as dancers, and especially with this team, our most exciting days are when we're coming up to choreo. We love getting our choreography. We love getting something new, like a fresh taste in our mouth. And then just to enjoy the like I have learned so much to enjoy the process. I do love practice. I love pulling apart a piece and finding fair ground, and like everyone being happy and settling on something, and then us working towards it and feeling accomplished and excited, and everyone finding their own movement and like their touch with the piece. So
I'm about to bring Jaden on the show, but I want to ask beforehand, what's it been like getting to work with him so far?
It's been an amazing opportunity, one I never thought I would have. I have been here. This is my 4th year, and I've been with Kelly. Like Kelly has been my head coach for the past 3.5 years. Not that she's still not, love her, but as she's at home with her family, having the opportunity to have Jaden in here, it's been something I never thought I would have seen or could have asked for. I love learning from other people and getting to see their perspective and their take on things, and that is exactly what I'm getting to do. And it's just been such a great opportunity, and couldn't have asked for it to be with anyone better.
So much energy, and you have a new biggest fan when Kelly comes back, and Baby Mikowski. I'm sure that's going to be your spirit animal, for lack of a better word, when that returns. But Claire, best of luck this season. We can't wait to see you compete on Sunday.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's bring on Jaden Johnson in what's been a whirlwind from him as we continue along here in the United podcast. Competitive cheer and dance starts their season on Sunday when they head to Penn State Barron, and a bevy of teams will be competing in what is sure to be an exciting start to the season. Jaden Johnson has been doing virtually everything, I feel like, in the last couple of weeks. You a new assistant coach for competitive cheer and dance, working a lot with the dance team. Can you just take me through the last month and what it has been like for you? Because I don't know if you've had a moment to breathe, much less sleep, in the last month or so, right?
Yeah, I would say last couple months has definitely been a whirlwind, but nothing has been short of excitement. Every step of the way has been another step closer to our goal for the end of the year, reaching that road to Daytona. That's like one of our biggest goals. But I mean, every day has been not necessarily a challenge, but it's been like something that's new and fresh for me to learn. And I get to learn something new about myself every time I'm stepping into the building. Walking into that rec center every morning is giving me not only like a new sense of purpose, but just to find that level of like authenticity and being able to step to the plate and to be a confident leader. And, I felt that in myself already, but now having to be able to be in charge of a team, I feel that it's been only gone up since then. So I feel that, every day is going to be a long day, but this is the life we live in, being, coaches and working with these students and making sure that they can achieve their dreams and goals that they strive for. But yeah, it's definitely been a great experience so far.
We're going to get into your background and illustrious background in dance in just a couple of minutes, but I was going to ask you what prompted you to want to take this opportunity to be an assistant coach. And it sounds like leadership was a big part of that. What made you ultimately want to take this opportunity, take a risk, right? Come to Gannon and do something that you haven't necessarily dabbled in before at the collegiate level?
So I was interested in, working in higher education in some capacity. I'm formerly, coach with competitive dance teams in the city of Erie at local studios. And I just felt that I had a bigger sense of purpose to go ahead and try and step up to the collegiate level and try to be there for them, as something what I felt when coming home from college once I graduated from Cal Arts was that I loved working with younger people, but I felt that I had more to offer to older students and, adults and, at collegiate level, and being able to share my expertise with them as I'm a recent graduate myself, feeling that, having that relatability, I feel like is a big impact when working with like younger minds, and being able to be relatable in that sense to work with them, I think is, a tremendous effect for them as well. It's a positive effect with them. So I feel that with that being said, I know I was inspired to, work with the higher education, and I was always told in college that in order for me to do that, I had to go and get my MFA. So, once I found that there was an opportunity for me to work here at Gannon, I didn't bat an eye, contemplated about it for a couple months, saw it back in June, and I was like, okay, let's give it some thought, see what happens for myself. And, I said, why not? Let's try it. And here we are today.
Indeed. It's been a whirlwind, as you've mentioned. You have a great background in dance. You've mentioned all of the opportunities that you've had, the people you've gotten to work with, and you're pulling double duty as a coach and still a performer. You get to go to Atlanta coming up in about a week or so to get to participate in a really exciting opportunity. But take me through some of the knowledge that you hope to or so far have instilled in this team. Of course, it's a little bit different wherever you go, but what are some of the things you're trying to teach this team, instill in them, and prepare them confidence-wise as they get ready for their first competition?
Yeah, something I'm really big on is being able to show our personality through our movements and through dance. At the end of the day, we are doing choreographed steps, but as long as we can find our sense of personality and find ways that we can let that shine throughout our routines, I think that does a lot of the heavy lifting when thinking about making corrections or how we can find our own sense of style. and just being confident and letting the students be able to have that experience to say, no, we can let our personality shine. It doesn't always have to just be dictated to what the song is giving us or what the performance routine, theme, or feeling is. And also I'm striving to find this sense of like authenticity. As I know that everyone comes from different backgrounds, like Claire had mentioned, I want to find that, that through line that we can all rely on where we come from at the end of the day, and relying on that authenticity and our technique and that training that, we can fall back on that. In times that we are feeling tired, we can rely on our technique and our training and where we come from to kind of push us through that finish line.
Is that something that takes a little bit to learn, being authentic? Because it seems so easy, but in dance, right, a lot of it is from my naive mind is so regimented, right? With needing to make sure that you hit your spots. The choreography has to be perfect. What's the challenge in finding your authentic self when you're there competing on the dance floor and trying to balance hitting your spots, hitting your marks, but also being yourself?
I would say just trying not to let your mind go on autopilot, and finding that sense of self that you're not just a vessel to perform certain steps and execute your spots and whatnot, but to be able to be a person through the choreography as well, and letting your personality show. Like I said, I think those are things that, it may be hard to figure out once you're first starting that, but once you become more comfortable and, kind of relax a bit, you're able to let that speak a bit more. And I feel like, it only comes time with more practice, and, they've been seeing that each and every day. I've been seeing more improvement of that authenticity level and that personality I was talking about. I've been finding more and more of that every day as I come.
Marissa and Claire both said this team has a lot of energy. Is that something you agree with?
Yes, I definitely would agree with that. They bring the energy every day, no matter if it's a Monday or a Saturday morning. They're bright and early there, ready to go, and they're showing up 110% and willing to be there. And that's something I enjoy being around. And I love that I can come into a space and everyone's willing to work hard and, push past what they gave the last rehearsal, the last practice, So it's been a joy.
Let's shamelessly plug the town that you and I both grew up in, Jaden, because luckily dance is a year-round sport because you don't have to do it outside unless you're in Daytona, in which case the weather doesn't make a lick of difference. Take me through what you've seen in Erie, especially, how dance has evolved, the success of it in this area. Of course, you have a lot of background in different dance companies and having success there. The competitive cheer and dance team does a great job every single year at Gannon. What has it been like watching this sport in particular flourish in Erie, in this area, in a place that doesn't have warm weather, that's not necessarily attractive unless you're a big fan of snow in the winter? How have you seen the sport grow since you've been here and what you've been able to do?
I think this has been a tremendous opportunity, as I've come from, working with families that often don't realize how serious of a career we can make dance. And, not only just through our young elementary and adolescents, but we can, really find a place here. And I think that's something Gannon's strive to do is, make this platform that, dance can be found here on a collegiate level. I know some other schools around the area also have dance here, but in this sense, I think it's a great opportunity for these kids to be able to perform and, not only just travel, but they have that experience to see other teams and see other people perform. Just feeling that camaraderie around the city is something that's rare. I feel like that we don't find in the topic of the arts here. So I think that having this program being here is a major stepping stone for the city area, and I think it's something everybody should look into if they're interested in finding dance on the collegiate level.
Arts is so important. I grew up a little bit with it. You know it better than most. It's so important and great to have it here, and we're excited to have you as part of the team. We're excited for Sunday, and hopefully you find some time to rest between here and now. But this team, we can't wait to see them on Sunday. Jaden, best of luck this year, and it's exciting to have you.
Yes, thank you.
At John Russell Hospitality, every restaurant tells a story of flavor, community, and unforgettable moments. From handcrafted meals to welcoming spaces, we bring people together around a table. John Russell Hospitality, where great food meets genuine companionship. Make sure to visit one of our 6 locations today.
New seasons are dawning on us. Competitive cheer and dance starts their season on Sunday. Women's water polo and acrobatics and tumbling aren't very far behind that. So Our What's on Tap might need to be 2 slides starting in February with all the teams that are competing. But for this week, here's what we have going on. Of course, competitive cheer and dance. We've already mentioned it. The Spirit Against Cancer cheer and dance competition at Penn State Barron. That's all day on Sunday. So we highly encourage you make the short drive from campus just over to the east to Penn State Barron so you can check out the competitive cheer and dance team. They're going to do an incredible job. Coach Johnson, Coach Mikowski getting ready to come back in just a little bit. Baby Mikowski doing well, and just, again, so excited to be able to open up their season not too far from home on Sunday. Other action happening, we mentioned on Saturday, men's and women's wrestling getting ready for a back-to-back home slate. Men's wrestling, they've got senior day. There are the 8 seniors that will be honored at 12 o'clock, or just right before that, 11:45, when men's wrestling takes on Kutztown in a huge dual meet. Of course, Dorian Crosby will anchor what's a very stout and solid Gannon lineup. They're looking to move to 10-1 in dual meets on the season. They just swept a doubleheader at home in a tri-meet last weekend. Meanwhile, women's wrestling back in action as well. Aaron Vandiver's squad is excited to be back at home. It's been a little bit since they've been on their home floor, and this will be the first time that they've been in the Highmark Event Center in 2026. They'll take to the home mats against Lock Haven. That follows the men's match around 2 o'clock start time, a little bit later if the men's match runs a little long. But rest assured, we'll have that for you immediately following the conclusion of men's wrestling. Speaking of Penn State Barron, swimming taking part in their final meet before conference championships. Milan Meadows squad traveling to Penn State Barron for a 1 o'clock start against the Lions. That on Saturday. And also on Saturday, men's and women's basketball off of 2 gutsy wins. And that's what they were. Gutsy wins on Wednesday over Clarion. They'll make the short drive down I-79 to take on Slippery Rock for 1 and 3 p.m. tip-offs. Bit of a rivalry going, as always is the case between the Golden Knights and the Rock. So exciting for them to be back in action as well. Speaking of basketball, we got some new rankings in for you on this Thursday evening. Rankings that came out a couple of days ago. Men's basketball, fresh off their win against Damon, is 7th in the country. It's their highest ranking of the season so far. Pace Prosper and the Golden Knights continue to get victories, and they're now 10-0 at home after beating Clarion last night. Women's basketball right behind them at 8th. Despite adversity, some injuries for the Golden Knights Cleve Wright's team, they still continue to win. That overtime victory over Clarion last night, a huge one for the Golden Knights, and you're going to get to see a couple of those plays in your top 5 plays of the week, a bit of a foreshadowing, which is coming in just a bit. Wrestling rankings in for you as well. Men's wrestling is ranked 3rd by the NWCA. Those are rankings that came out late last week. Joey Lyons and company back in action on Saturday. Women's wrestling, 17th in the country as they get ready to return home on Saturday. Lily Ufalji and company ready for what will be an exciting dual meet against Lock Haven. The Bald Eagles coming in with an impressive mark as well. So should be back-to-back great matches between the Golden Knights and their opponents, Kutztown and Lock Haven. Awards to speak of for this week. How about Lucas Sakazi, who, in my view, and I think many Golden Knight fans' views who are watching this podcast, without a doubt, should be in contention for 6th Man of the Year. He's an incredible force off the bench and was just named the PSAC West Men's Basketball Defensive Athlete of the Week for the week ending the last week. So men's basketball, they continue to roll. Women's basketball keeps winning as well. Our winter sports team's doing very, very, very well as we roll along throughout the year. All right, as we continue along here in the UKnighted podcast, you're taking a look at the John Russell Brewing Company and the John Russell Brewing Company with their dish of the day tonight, the Reuben Rolls, which you can get anytime at the John Russell Brewing Company and the rest of the John Russell Hospitality Group. We again thank them for their sponsorship and their generosity of letting us into their building each and every single day on the UKnighted podcast. All right, let's show you a couple of fun social media segments, shall we? We just hosted Spring Sports Media Day on Saturday as part of the run-up to the spring sports season. And while we did Media Day, the pictures, the headshots, the things that you would expect, there's a recent trend that's been going around the college sports landscape of old JCPenney poses, awkward poses that you really have to see to believe. So we took it to the teams in spring sports. We said, hey, are you able to recreate these JCPenney awkward poses? And women's lacrosse was more than willing to make that happen, and they did a pretty good job with it as well. Let's take a look at how well women's lacrosse recreated those JCPenney poses.
Sorry, guys. Riley, you're probably not going to okay. It's okay. All good. You ready? I don't like this. Oh, this is good. Hey.
The faster you do it, the faster
All right, we gotta go fast, guys. Get in your pose. Get in your pose. Go. I can't breathe. Get off. Oh, what the? Oh, yeah!
What is it?
Stop.
Are you ready?
Wait, are you ready? Okay. I'm locked. I got you, girl. Straight face. You need some serious hip straight face. All right. Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so scared right now. Straight face.
All right, save the best for last. Riley's bearing the brunt of the damage here.
Sorry, Ryan. Okay, are you ready?
Do I get my face up? I don't want to put my face up.
How many are you doing?
All of you. This is turning into the Riley pain.
Right on her head. Okay. She's moving.
Ow!
My hair's gonna block.
Oh my God.
Our ears are connected.
You guys better hurry up.
Come on.
Are you okay, Riley?
Yes, I'm good.
Big shout out Riley Finnegan, the goalkeeper for the Golden Knights, who had a really tough time being on the bottom for a lot of those poses. So shout out to her, and shout out to the women's lacrosse team for taking part in the awkward JCPenney photo challenge. We have more teams, specifically baseball, softball, that will be participating in those challenges as well. Those videos will be coming out later in the week and early next week. As we continue along on the show, we have the top 5 plays of the week just around the corner in a couple minutes. Before we get to that, though, we're continuing our series this week with End to End, a segment where we get a chance to learn more about some of the men's and women's basketball student athletes and what they like to do off campus, some of their reasons for coming to Gannon, as well as some fun facts about their student athletes. Precious Ayaderu is the latest subject for our End to End segment. Let's take a look. How many people out of 10 will look at you and be like, how tall are you?
Probably 10 out of 10. Literally 10 out of 10.
Like, what's our typical guess?
6'8". But then when I told them it's 6'10", they were like, oh my God.
What's your favorite sports team?
Soccer, we got FC Bayern München. That's back home, Germany.
If you could make a rule change in basketball, what would the rule change be?
That you can tap the ball out of the rim, like while it's still like rolling.
So like
the FIBA rules, yeah, basically. Yeah, like just tap it out.
What's been your favorite moment of being at Gannon so far?
That I live in a building that is like right next to my building where the classes are. It's like literally 2 minutes away, so I can just walk back and forth with ease. I can just wake up in a normal day to sleep in and just go.
You told me before that you like to sleep in. What's your average wake up time if you don't have anything going on?
Ooh, I like 10 o'clock.
Tell the people who don't know where you're from originally.
I'm from Germany, aka Speyer, Germany.
What is the best cuisine, back at home or in the States?
Oh, back home, 100%. The States got a lot of good fast food, but the quality of the food is way better back home.
What's your favorite dish, go-to dish back at home?
Ooh, so that's a tricky question because my mom's a chef, so I've been eating good my whole life. But I'll say lasagna, it's my favorite.
So if you were taking a vacation to Germany, what would be 1 or 2 places that you have to go to?
Stuttgart, Deutschland. Stuttgart is #1, and then Berlin, obviously. That's a big staple of Germany right there.
Which teammate is the most likeliest to learn the German language the fastest?
Oh, Victor, 100%, because he's my roommate. So he hears me on the phone talking to my brother, and he was like, he can definitely pick it up. Yeah.
Have you taught him a little bit?
It's hard. It's really hard. He tries to say stuff, and I'm like, yeah, just stop.
Harder than English?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Like, I learned English first and then spoke German.
Thanks to Precious for being a part of that segment with us. And again, more end-to-end segments coming your way for the basketball teams in the coming days. All right, as we get ready for our top 5 plays of the week, we want to draw your attention to a theme night game that is coming up for the women's basketball team, and that is the CARE game happening on February 18th against Slippery Rock. Women's basketball has teamed up with Grandview Elementary School as well as the AHN Health and Wellness Center to raise funds for those who are affected by cancer in the area. Gannon University Women's Basketball is asking you to do your part and helping them reach their $10,000 goal. If you'd like to donate or learn more about how you can support, make sure to scan that QR code that's on your screen right now. We also have more information on our website as well. And of course, the game will be featuring so many great donors and great people who have been part of the fight and battle against cancer. The CARE game, first ever for Gannon women's basketball, in correlation with Grandview Elementary and AHN, February 18th against Slippery Rock. All right, time now for our top 5 plays of the week. We will start at number 5. This is Jake Niff, 141. He wrestles for the Gannon men's wrestling team. Why is this victory important? Well, in a win against West Liberty, Jake knocked off the defending national runner-up with a win by decision to help the Golden Knights take the victory over West Liberty, a ranked team. Here comes number 4. We just mentioned Lucas Akasi, the PSCC's Defensive Athlete of the Week. Well, it was the offense on display here in the win last night against Clarion, doing it all on his own. Little shimmy, shake, and bake, and then to the thigh slam at Gemma Academy as Sakasi with the rim rattler to give Gannon an early advantage that they would relinquish and then get back in a victory over Clarion. Here's number 3. This is overtime between the ladies and the Golden Eagles of Clarion last night. How about Tori Mays? Clutch when she needed to be a huge three-pointer to give Gannon the lead in overtime, one that they would not relinquish as Gannon wins in overtime. And they won the game in overtime thanks to our number 1 play of the week, but that's coming right after this one. Here's number 2, Dorian Crosby against East Stroudsburg. Look how quickly he just earns that takedown. And I don't know about you, but if Dorian Crosby was wrestling me, I had to wrestle Dorian, I might just lay on my back and get pinned. He is so difficult to wrestle against. The number 1 ranked wrestler at 285, Dorian, the big takedown and 2 big wins last week. But here's number 1. It's a free throw. We do not normally see free throws being featured in our top 5 plays of the week, but Bree Claxton, with less than 4 seconds to go in regulation last night, needed to hit 3 consecutive free throws to send the game to overtime. And that is exactly what Bree Claxton did, calmly stepping up to the line, hitting all 3 to tie the game at 70, to send it to overtime, and the Golden Knights would eventually come away with that victory in overtime. So congratulations to Bree for our top play of the week. Not often you'll see a free throw at number 1, but a good reason for it, as Bree stepping to the line, calmly draining all of them, and the Golden Knights with a huge win at home. Men's and women's basketball sweeping the home doubleheader against Clarion on Wednesday night. All right, that'll do it for our show this evening, an action-packed show. Thanks to Competitive Cheer and Dance for joining us on the show, to Marissa DeClaire, to assistant coach Jaden Johnson for being a part of our show this evening. Once again, if you're interested in some weekend action after wrestling, you can join Competitive Cheer and Dance at Penn State Barron when they take to the competition mats on Sunday morning, and a competition that will span the entire day. That's a look at their schedule. Excited for Coach Kelly McCaskey, Jaden Johnson, and the rest of the team to start competition on Sunday. One more look at what's on top for this weekend. Competitive Cheer and Dance, wrestling's at home, swimming on the road at Penn State Barron, men's and women's basketball on the road as well. From all of us here at the John Russell Brewing Company, we want to say thank you for being a part of our podcast. That's it for the month of January for shows. And normally at the end of each month, we switch locations as to where we go as part of the John Russell Hospitality Group. This time, though, we're staying put. All of February, you can join us right back here at the John Russell Brewing Company for more United podcasts throughout the month of February as the weather continues to be cold. So we'll see you next Thursday, February 5th at 6 o'clock for the next rendition of the United podcast. From all of us at Gannon University, we hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you all at wrestling on Saturday, Competitive Cheer and Dance on Sunday at Penn State Barron. Until then, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe on the roads, stay warm, and we'll see you all this weekend for a later edition of the United Podcast.